If you've heard it, so have we.
If you hate it, we probably do too.
If you like it, we'll see.
But either way, we've heard it all.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
My gosh, doing good, doing good. There's, the sun is not shining. It's actually pretty cloudy right now. The kids are outside and screaming. But you know what? It's been a fine day. It's been a fine day.
Good.
How's your day?
It's raining all day.
Okay.
And I don't know. I do like rain when I'm like motivated to stay inside, get cozy. Mm-hmm. But I'm in one of those like watching ruts where like there is nothing I want to watch right now.
Yeah, I've been the same way. I'm currently watching Superstore because I never watched it before. And I do really like it. I enjoy it. I'm also in a reality TV phase. I just finished up Vanderpump Villa.
Okay.
Which is a fun watch. It's a fun watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not like Vanderpump Rules, but it's a good one. And then I also started the first and second episode of Poly Family on TLC.
Okay, yes.
And my God, is it interesting.
All right.
My God, is it fun.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's my thing. I tried to get back into Salt Lake City, Real Housewives. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I can't deal with this right now. It just like, especially because I'm really inching with the show. I'm still on episode 3 and I walk in and it's still the drama of Jen being mad at Mary for saying that it smelled like a hospital. And I was like, is this drama? Anyways,
it is.
I know it is. But
you got to be in the mindset though.
Exactly. I have been watching The Studio on Apple TV with Seth Rogen. Mm-hmm. Really good, really beautifully made. The second episode, I was like, oh my God. It's one of the best. Okay. It's really, really beautifully shot. Highly recommend it. But again, I got to the episode 3 and then I was like, oh, I'm tired. So I just need to find something that really gets me there. Maybe I rewatch Pretty Little Liars.
That's a brave choice and I admire that for you. I've been getting, actually, since we're on the topic, I've been getting a lot of Aria Ezra edits on TikTok. And I'm like, hey, actually.
Like pro?
I mean, it's not against, so I guess it is pro. Inherently.
That's not the point.
Oh I know. God. It was like them like making out in like the school parking lot. And I was like, hey, this is actually a crime.
Yeah.
It's been a crime for the whole time, but now you're on school property.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
And it's, wow. People really lose the point.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should rewatch because I remember reading those books. Like, they were a drug. I just, one after the other, I had to keep reading. So actually, maybe I go reread the books because I remember I didn't get far into the show, but those books kept me hooked.
Yeah. It was, I think it's pretty early on, though, that the books kind of diverge. Or the TV show diverges from the books.
Okay, interesting.
Because in the books, Ezra goes to prison, like, pretty quickly.
That's why when I watched the show, I was like, wait, this was not a love story in the books.
Why is he not in handcuffs?
Yeah, why is he not behind bars? Crazy. Oh my gosh. But so much has happened in the past like couple weeks, I think. Mm-hmm. A lot of good things. Yeah. Today, do you want to walk through what we're talking about?
Yeah, of course. Our topics of the day. Obviously, we have to talk about the Met Gala. We're going to dive into a little bit of the history of it, dilly-dally, and talk about our favorite looks. Some looks maybe we didn't care for. Mm-hmm. And then we are going to talk about Ryan Coogler's cinematic masterpiece, Sinners. We both love it so much, so we'll talk about that, give a review, and kind of talk about like reception, stuff like that. And then at the end, you were going to tell me information about Lorde. Yes. I've specifically asked not to know anything beforehand, so that's all the info I can give.
All I asked her to do was listen to the new single, and then I will give her all the background on what is up with Lorde and where we are now.
So excited.
Yes, exciting. But first off, the first Monday of May, it was the Met Gala this Monday. I am going to quickly look up who were our hosts. So first and foremost, our love, our light, Coleman Domingo. We are fans of Coleman in this house. Lewis Hamilton, he's an F1 racer, F1 driver. Yes, yeah. He is nice to look at. I like looking at him. A$AP Rocky, repeat perpetrator of keeping Rihanna from
God.
the studio.
She's never making it out.
It's fine.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I don't care anymore.
No, look back. If I look back at her discography, like, I'm being greedy. She gave us hits.
Yeah, we shouldn't be asking for more.
Yeah, no, she gave us enough hits that Katy Perry only seeks out in her career.
Oops.
Anyways, no, she should, I'll just say this. Katie, take a book from Miss Robin Fenty. Stop while you're ahead.
You're so right. She's already behind. It's too late anyways.
And the last person is Pharrell Williams, which is important when we talk about a certain look that we were about later.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Do you want me to go through the theme? Because I do have the description up to read.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Because I think it's important to read because once I really delved into the actual theme, I felt a lot differently about my initial thoughts about the Met. But this year, the exhibition at the Met is super fine, tailoring Black style. It reads, The Costume Institute Spring 2025 exhibition presents a cultural and historical examination of Black style over 300 years through the concept of dandyism. In the 18th century Atlantic world, a new culture of consumption, fueled by the slave trade, colonialism, and imperialism, enabled access to clothing and goods that indicated wealth, distinction, and taste. Black dandyism sprung from the intersection of African and European style traditions. So this theme explores the importance of style to the formation of Black identities in the Atlantic diaspora, particularly in the United States and Europe. Through a presentation of garments and accessories, paintings, photographs, decorative arts, and more from the 18th century to today, the exhibition interprets the concept of dandyism as both an aesthetic and a strategy that allowed for new social and political possibilities. Superfine is organized into 12 sections, each representing a characteristic that defines the style, such as champion, respectability, heritage, beauty, and cosmopolitanism. Together, these characteristics demonstrate how one's self-presentation is a mode of distinction and resistance within a society impacted by race, gender, class, and sexuality. So, really focusing on the concept of the Black dandy, which focused on clean-cut tailoring, kind of elegance, but also there's an element of Black dandyism that is about taking up space when space is not given, which when I read more about dandyism, it wasn't just about kind of the sharp tailored suits and like being demure, which changed my mind about a couple things. But what were your initial thoughts on this theme? Because when I walked into it, I was a little scared of this theme for the Met Gala.
I know. I was excited, was a bit frightened for what we were going to see. Ultimately, a lot. It was good overall as a whole.
Yes.
I know I had expressed to you, and I think we talked about it, that we were worried about Billie Eilish.
Yes.
Because she likes to cosplay Black man sometimes.
Yeah.
She wasn't even there. So, you know what?
Yeah, you know what? I was surprised
Dodge
she
something.
wasn't there. I was like, where is she?
Yeah. Anna Wintour said, I can't have this.
No.
I can't have this year. But anyways, I think overall as a whole, it's one of my favorite Met Galas to date. Yeah. Because I think, obviously, there's always going to be a certain subset of people who like never adhere to the theme. But I feel like for the most part, a lot of people at least attempted to stay on theme and like, you know, put in the work to like research dandyism and stuff like that. So I overall was a fan. Yeah,
I agree, because I think the key to dandyism, like we're saying, is this just inherent elegance. So as long as you looked nice, you were paying some respect to the theme. But the people who went above and beyond to really kind of lean into histories of Black style and like histories of Black dandyism, and also lean on the help of like Black designers and stylists, I really appreciated. I wish there had been more Black designers featured in the clothing, but I also know like that is a minority of the industry, and this should prove that there should be more. But I do appreciate that most people referred to Black stylists, and a lot of stylists were kind of being brought to the fore for this theme, and that this was really just like a night for us. I don't know if you saw the video. It's a video of like I think like ASAP's there, Coleman's there, and La Roche in the loudest voice I have ever heard that man speak. He was like, something about like they never thought, like they really didn't think this through when they made this theme for us, and like it's all these Black people. It's just like joy permeating through the room, and it's just like that's what it is. And I saw a video or something where someone was like, in the toughest times, like Black people will continue to find joy through it, and like we're looking at it now with like the Met Gala theme, Sinners, like Cowboy Carter, like Black culture will always rise above because this is just material. So yeah, I really liked the theme. I also just love a good tailored suit.
I know, very underutilized.
Man, if people knew their measurements, which I know is very hard in America.
Yeah.
I understand that. Oof. If we had a standardized sizing system in this country, we'd be unstoppable.
Would we?
Well, the people who knew how to use it correctly would.
You're so right. I know.
Yeah. But, okay. Who were your standout looks?
Ooh, okay. So I have a list of my favorites. I'm pretty sure we'll have some crossover. Yeah. The first one I wrote down, obviously, was Coleman Domingo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That, like, blue, bejeweled cape thingy. I don't know what it's called. I mean, stunning. Yeah. Also, just what a stunning man overall.
He's so beautiful.
Like, oh my God, so beautiful, so classy, so talented. Obsessed with him. I also really loved Teyana Taylor's outfit. Yes. That burgundy, those like, oh, what are they called? The shoulders. Padded shoulders, the structure of the suit. Oh my gosh, so many different elements. Yeah. I love, love, love it. Right? I think those are probably my top two. Yes. What are yours?
So I would say Coleman's definitely up there, but Teyana Taylor and Janelle Monáe.
I did love Janelle's.
It was just so, because it plays into her style really well. Yeah. Of mixing like dandyism with a bit of camp. And this was, sorry, I think they use they, them pronouns. My apologies. It just fits into their style so well. And I love it. I love it so much. So good. Oh my gosh. I loved their look. I wrote this down as well. I also really loved Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things. Oh, I keep forgetting these kids are grown. He looks so
I know.
good.
Every time I see him, I take a double take.
I really liked his outfit. I liked Justice Smith. I liked Jeremy Pope, who was also styled by Law Roach. Same thing as Zendaya. And Zendaya, I loved her look, even if it wasn't the most like out there, but I think like it perfectly adhered to what the theme was calling for.
I think so too. It was very sleek. The full cream.
It's also Zendaya.
So nice.
I can't. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen her outfit and been like, I don't like that. I think she wears the clothes. It's never the other way around. So, Laura Harrier.
I don't know who that is. I'm gonna look it up.
You do, because you do. She was in the Spider-Man movies, and she was, she was the girl that had to get on TikTok and be like, hey, Shamik Moore, stop. Yes.
Oh,
she's the other one that's not Haley Steinfeld that he did that too.
Yes. Yeah.
Her like flowy outfit.
Oh, I did love this outfit. I remember saying now. Yes.
Really nice. I love that I had to make that reference for you to know who she is.
You always have to give me certain little tidbits if you just call it a name, because I never know it.
It's weird that he did that. Yeah, I just really enjoyed the theme. I love that everyone just looked really good, because even the people that like I think of like Sydney Sweeney's look, and other than like I'm not sure if the swirls in her hair was like supposed to be like kind of laid down. Actually, wait, I think I read who she was trying to reference. Let me look it up really quickly. She was trying to reference someone, and I didn't fully get it, but I knew she looked good, and that's all I kind of wanted from her, you know, and from anyone. Yeah. But there were some looks that I didn't love, and let's start talking about Sabrina Carpenter. Let's just start there.
Yeah, that's the one I've been wanting to talk about. So if you haven't seen Sabrina's look, just to paint a picture, she's wearing this like, it's like a burgundy chocolate, I would say, because it's not quite burgundy and not quite brown.
It's a beautiful color.
it's a beautiful color. It looks really great on her, but it's basically just like a jacket and a bodysuit, bare legs, completely bare legs. And I knew I didn't like it when I first saw it. And then I was thinking more on the theme, and I think it really boils down to like dandyism being about elegance and like reclaiming power. And I have a similar critique of Ember Chamberlain's look. And I don't know how to... No, I can't put it into words. I don't like the exposed skin just for the sake of exposed skin in adherence to, like, the theme and, like, what the Met Gala is trying to highlight.
Yes. This reminds me of a video I saw on TikTok where someone, in reference to apparently at the Kentucky Derby, a lot of people were kind of dressed scantily for the Kentucky Derby, which I didn't know they were doing that at the Kentucky Derby. I thought that was the conservative event. So I don't know what's going on with the sexual politics of the right. I really don't. Like, you want boobs out, but you don't want I don't pick one and do it right. Yeah. But anyways, someone was like, hey, it actually does not threaten your individuality to like subscribe to like social norms about there are some events that just require modesty. And that's not like to like control the way people act and control people's bodies. It's just like, this is just an event that like calls for that. And with Sabrina's look, it just kind of felt like she looked like a ringleader at a circus. And I wish there had been pants because I saw her talking because Pharrell styled her. So I can't chalk it up to Sabrina because he said, you're short, no pants. And I would have been like, actually, she's short, pants, you know?
Pants.
I would have liked a nice elongated leg on her that kind of made her look like pinstripes lengthen.
Yeah, exactly.
Have we forgot geometry? I just felt like the top was, I loved the top of the outfit. I thought it was very elegant. And like you said, like dandyism, yes, it is about kind of like resisting different modes of like oppression that have been specifically placed on Black people. But appropriating elegance, if that is something we can even say we can appropriate, is because we were not let into those upper echelon circles. To show that like we can walk amongst them and outdo them is powerful and is resistance. So I didn't feel like this look adhered to it. And I didn't think this about Emma's either. Emma's felt very 90s. Like I didn't hate the look. I guess it was a deconstructed suit. It made into a dress, but I don't know. She's just the Met Gala look she did last year, or whatever, that like black lace dress, that was gorgeous. So this one was kind of meh for me.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what? You know what was funny? And you'll know the names because obviously I don't know names, but you sent me this TikTok today and it was Anne Hathaway who was just in a boring outfit. It wasn't anything crazy.
Oh, it was Ego Nwodum and Teyana Taylor.
They were interviewing.
They were interviewing her.
And she looks away for like half a second and both of those women looked her up and down at the exact same time. And it's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
Sometimes we are speaking without opening
just a language of our own.
I know. And my thing is, you know what? Anne's look was okay. It did look like she was just going to a meeting.
Yeah. She looked like a business
Not
woman.
offensive, but nothing impressive, especially given her recent looks. I would have hoped for something more.
I know.
Yeah. So, the person I was going to bring up, and I was going to tell you that I kind of am feeling back and forth about her look, is Chappell Roan. Because I told you she was brought to the Met Gala by eBay. So
explain that,
I watched so I watched a video. So basically she did a partnership with eBay. And she partnered with Paul Tazwell as this stylist. So her stylist is Genesis Webb, who has put together a lot of her famous looks. Partnered with Paul Tazwell, who, if you don't know, is the recently Academy Award-winning costume designer from Wicked, the first Black man to ever win an Oscar for costume design. And so he put together her look, which was based on like disco queens and like disco drag of the 80s. So like icons like people from the ballroom scene, Sylvester, and putting together the kind of suit that you would wear in like a ballroom competition of like dandyism, you know? And I do appreciate that. And also her suit was made from entirely reclaimed materials that they found on eBay.
Oh, that's cool.
So there are elements, like, I love the origin of it, and I love that, like, she specifically talks about, like, the history of Black people in the queer community and in drag. And you know what? Even though it's not my favorite look of hers, like, I didn't love it, I still like that it's very, like, if she's gonna do a look for this, like, this is the chapel look, and, like, her paying homage to the people who have come before her. So I did appreciate that tact and that detail, even though I did not love the outfit. And it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love what it represents.
Yeah. And I think when you explain it, it makes more sense than I think just like looking at it.
Yeah, because again, people go back and forth of like dandyism being more like a demure elegance and being like sharp lines and tailored and kind of being more muted. But some people also argue that dandyism is about taking space up and kind of, you know, resistance. It does not always have to feel comfortable. And obviously just the existence of Black people in like wealth spaces makes people uncomfortable. But like, what about the step further? So yeah, I really liked the Met Gala, and I think learning the histories, and I just looked it up, Sydney Sweeney was actually paying homage to Kim Novak in like a dress she wears in Vertigo, I think, in Hitchcock's Vertigo. Again, I don't see how that relates at all. So still, I tried to justify it, and I'm still like, Black dandyism?
That's how I feel about...
There's no Black people in Vertigo.
About Gigi Hadid. I think she was like paying homage to
Josephine Baker.
Yeah. And it just
at least that's referencing a Black person.
Yeah, but it's also just like...
Kim Novak's not Black.
I know. I know, but it's like Gigi was just like in a dress. And I don't think it's an obvious enough reference or close enough to the theme.
Yeah, nobody pulled out the bananas.
Where are the bananas?
Where are the bananas? But Megan Thee Stallion also did an homage to Josephine Baker as well. Which again, her look I liked, but it didn't wow me like some of the other ones, but I did really like it.
Yeah.
The girls were sitting.
Oh God, they were.
Yeah. God bless.
So good. God bless. You know what? Not to derail us, but I was thinking about this when you were talking about the reception and kind of just like of Black culture, of like having the Met Centers and stuff like that. I was also thinking about last year's Met Gala and how different it is from this year's. I'm not even thinking about the theme and stuff like that, but do you remember last summer, this is when we were having like a really anti-celebrity phase in our culture. This is when we're like blocking everybody on like social media. And
we were.
It's interesting, I think, to contrast that of like everyone being so freaking anti the Met Gala and the wealth that is just accumulated there. And
I actually have a hot take about that.
Okay.
Oh, now? Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You said immediately go.
Yeah, go.
Here's my thing about specifically the Met Gala. The vacuum of the Met Gala. Wealthy people do wealthy people things. I'm talking about the Met Gala. It's a museum. It's actually a site of public education. Like, we're actually funding the arts. Like, this is all going to go in an exhibit that, like, the public can see and learn from. So, you know, yes, it's $30,000 for a ticket, but that is going into a fund to help the museum.
Yeah, and I think that is something we were kind of missing last year.
Yeah. I know people are like, eat the rich, but I'm just like, it's just people in outfits. It's a fundraising event. Yeah. That's what it is. And that's okay. And they should do that because we don't have the money to.
Yeah, and actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about last year. It's because that one influencer made I think it's really stemmed from that. That influencer made a video with the audio from Marie Antoinette, where it's like, let them eat cake. Them eat cake. And I think it all kind of snowballed from there. But anyways, moving on to this year, I do think it's interesting that they kind of pivot from, the Met Gala's having a really bad reception. Maybe we should make it Black. And maybe people won't say anything bad to us because we're making it Black.
So are you saying it's like a scapegoating of the Black community?
I think it's probably both. I think it can be both. I think you can at once like do want to celebrate it, but I do think just inherently when you're propping up any marginalized community, it can be a form of like
exploitation.
Yeah, maybe in a way, or just like covering yourselves. I mean, I guess the same way of like when like DEI was all the rage.
Yeah.
Like it was a way to cover yourself.
Exactly. And I think it just depends on how they go about it. Because obviously this is like a historical exhibit. And like, is there an element where we ask them, like, what are you doing for the Black community now?
Yeah.
And like, I bet the Met has programs for like underprivileged
Yeah, I'm
schools in
sure.
New York. And I'm like, it's a public education, like public service museum. So yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I get that. And I think
Yeah,
it
it's just
can
like
also be
both
both.
can be true. Like,
Yeah. But I think it also like showcases that like the reason people are like, yeah, let them eat cake is because it truly felt like the white people event for the
Yeah.
longest time.
yeah.
And to see like this amount of like Black celebrity in one space, who like not all of them are like perfect people. It doesn't matter, but just like to see Black wealth in like one area and Black excellence in one area, I think is something that's very inspiring and like lovely to see. So yeah, I was very happy with the theme and like, let's just keep going. I love
Yeah.
this wave that we're in.
I know.
Because when we said like, you know, we've done the work, like y'all need to figure this out in this new stage of like protests and like finding a new path in the second Trump era, like we meant it.
Yeah.
We're going to seek joy until we feel the need to jump in, even though we are jumping in very different ways still for our own preservation. But, you know, it can't always be, the burden can't always be on Black people to
Yeah.
lift us out of, to deliver us.
Yeah. And I do feel like this is like one of the most unified times of among Black people where everyone's just kind of like, we've done what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And now we're going to sit out. We're going to let you guys figure this shit out. And it's nice.
Let them eat cake.
It's, let them eat cake.
I also, to go back to just a quick thing about the Met Gala like from last year,
Yeah.
I also think when someone took a video of the people clamoring outside to look and the people inside, I think that also didn't help at all.
Yeah, it didn't help.
But I was also like, hey, go home.
That's my thing is like, you don't have to be there.
Yeah, you don't have to be climbing the walls
No.
to look. Like,
No.
you can actually see this on your phone. It's you can accessibly watch this.
There are galleries.
Yeah, so I don't take that to heart because that's like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'd be at home with a cup of tea, calling you, being
Yeah.
like, what do we think? Which is what I did.
Let's be judge.
Man. But yeah, love the Met Gala.
Yeah. So I think we're done with that.
Well, perfect segue when we're talking about like Black culture and the way that I don't know if there's like an actual correlation between the rise of like Black culture in media, because it's always around, obviously, but kind of like the mainstreaming of it. And I'm talking like mainstreaming of Black culture by and for us, not just like mainstreaming of Black culture by way of Kardashians,
Right.
but Sinners.
Sinners. Oh my gosh. Give me your thoughts. Give me all your thoughts.
Okay, so by the time I had watched Sinners, 4 of my friends, including you, had seen it, and everyone was like, it's amazing, it's phenomenal. And I was scared because I'm like, what if I don't think it's amazing and phenomenal?
Yeah.
That I'm going to feel left out. The first 15 minutes happened, I was like, okay, that's not a reality that's going to happen. I'm going to love this. I thought it was just one of the most innovative, beautiful, thoughtful pieces of cinema I had seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think what made it so meaningful to me is like I grew up on the Blockbuster and I love a Blockbuster and I think there's a very special place for it. And to see a big Blockbuster with an original story that is not tied to a franchise or an IP or isn't a regurgitated tale we've heard a million times was so meaningful. And for that to come from Ryan Coogler, I was like, of course.
God, so talented. I'm so excited to see just what he does with the rest of his career because he's already had so many like varied hits.
I know.
And just does it beautifully every time. So I'm so excited. Everything about the movie is just amazing. And I saw a TikTok about this where it's basically like, oh, what does it say? Now I'm forgetting. It was like comparing, because obviously comparisons are going to come out between like Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele just because they're horror films and centered around Black people. It was something like, I'm forgetting the first part, but it was basically like Ryan Coogler's films make you want to be black. And I was like, I totally agree, because Sinners especially was just such a celebration of like black culture and especially black music and how it permeates and how it literally is the origin of all of our contemporary music. And there's this really cool scene probably about halfway through the film where they're in like their little juke joint. And it starts with like blues music that they were playing and kind of morphs and starts incorporating like more like hip hop and rap elements. And then you get like African tribal beats. And then it brings in like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. It's so good. It's such like a beautiful blend of culture that they just do really seamlessly. And it's so stunning to watch.
I also loved the interplay and the dialogue between blues music and folk music, who feel like they're on two different sides of the race coin, which they are, but they do feel connected in certain ways, that they were genres of the working class that were reflective on struggle, and used in very different ways. And kind of the use of that music montage that you're talking about, and then like later on, like having them do an Irish jig, just both of those scenes in tandem were just so beautiful to watch. Especially when you talk about like the layers that it incorporates into how it constructs villainy in the film, and specifically having like an Irish like supreme vampire. And we will be discussing some spoilers here and there, so just letting you know now, if you haven't seen Sinners, maybe jump like 10-15 minutes ahead. There you go. But having like the main vampire be Irish, as people who have seen oppression themselves, like in the UK, who are now like in the US, where like they are now in the group of oppressor, and like the different dynamics of that sort of hierarchy, and also the generational trauma of these two groups, I thought was so beautiful, because I do love a villain that like you're like, I see what you're saying, but you're still in the wrong. But I like to kind of like chew on what they're saying a little bit. And also the main motif of like religion as mode of control. I just thought was beautifully done. And my favorite scene is obviously the last, not obviously because there's so many good scenes, but the one where they're in the water. And the main vampire, I wish I knew his name, but he is dunking Sammy into the water like a baptism, saying the Lord's Prayer, saying like, yeah, they told me this would save me too. And something about that was so beautiful and poignant. And the fact that like God was not the thing to save Sammy, it was his music and his, free expression, I just loved.
And I think that is something that we do not see often in like, especially mainstream film, in like a story surrounding black characters, is a critique of the church, because that critique is kind of inherent in there of like this in that scene specifically, when he is reciting like the prayer with him, he's like, I used to hate that too, like that's what my oppressors pushed onto me. And so you do get this like generational of like what happens under colonialism and the danger, the harms that it inflicts upon the oppressed people. And I just think it was nice to see, and just kind of that Annie is like really steeped in like African tradition and like hoodoo culture, and that is literally what ends up saving them, is connecting to their ancestors in that sort of way, but then also with Sammy and his music. And it's so good.
Yeah, because I loved the fact that the things that do save them are the things that originated from Black people, like Black mysticism and blues music. And like these are belief systems that Black people constructed by themselves. It wasn't given to them. It wasn't forced upon them. And like by like creating, sorry, I hit my hand. By creating like this, this like layered croissant of like, just like the history of the ways that, we have overcome and like delivered ourselves from these forms of oppression is just like so beautiful in the different scenes that it's referencing. But I thought it was a very also interesting dynamic of having Annie be like the Black mysticism and like Sammy be blues, and like the ways that is kind of gendered in the film as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just so good. And I think it's kind of like giving a lot of like good conversation about like how we perceive Blackness. I'll say in two fronts. One, I think in the Haley Steinfeld of it all, of like her, because it's really interesting. I've been seeing different stuff of like talking about her passing and just how different of a concept it is now versus like post like going into like Jim Crow era of like the differences in how we perceive Blackness. Because I think a lot of times you could look at Haley and be like, I don't know, is she just kind of like in our like modern day? But like, I'm losing my train of thought.
That's so funny because I've never once thought that about Haley Steinfeld.
I think there is an ethnicness like to her, but just because of like the same way that some people will say that like Kylie Jenner looks ethnic. Do you know what I mean?
Girl, that's
I know.
Because she's
I know that one's a little bit different.
That's the wrong example. That's because she specifically chose out features to make herself look ethnic.
You're right. I've lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say?
Well, actually, because I know that like Haley has Filipino ancestry, I could see that in the same way that I see that in like an Olivia Rodrigo. Maybe more so in Olivia, obviously. But I do think it's really interesting, this concept of passing, because I've never been able to figure out, especially in today's day and age, what is passing and what is just white. Like for some, and I think it's all based on like how you perceive privilege. So I always bring up Halsey as the example, because if you did not tell me that her father was Black, I would assume she was white. And so I wonder, and obviously they are very like proud, open about being Black and like reference and like honor Black culture all the time. So it also feels a little different with them specifically. But like, do we call Halsey white passing? Are they just white because of just how they are perceived in the world? And is it important? Is it more important to focus on lineage, or is it more important to focus on perception? That's what I sometimes get confused by, or I don't know the right answer to.
I don't think there is a right answer. I think it's
okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things we don't have an answer to.
Yeah, or it's something like Troyan Belisario, who played Spencer in Pretty Little Liars. Yeah, I think is half Black.
Yeah, her dad is.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. It's also just crazy, just like how genetics work and how we can look so
genetics
different.
Are crazy.
So different.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Another quick thing I was thinking about, I've also seen a lot of stuff about Annie and her playing like the love interest to one of the twins. I don't know which twin is which, unfortunately.
Smoke.
Oh yeah, because she I get it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of I keep saying debate, and they're TikToks that I'm watching. But it is a debate. And talking about how like it's really powerful to see someone who is like fuller figured. Whereas like in traditional, I don't even want to say traditional, no, like stereotypical roles, like someone who is like more like full figured is typically cast to like the mammy kind of role, and it like subverts her into being like the desired woman very quickly into the film. And I just love her character. I love her so much.
No, Annie was amazing.
So smart. Saved them, literally. Saved them.
Yeah. I also really appreciated representing like Chinese people in the Mississippi Delta, because I think that exposed a history that people do not know about. Yeah. And just like the solidarities and betrayal that also happened between those two communities. I thought the scene of, I think Grace is the wife's name, when she's like staking her husband while on fire, that was just, that's a killer scene. Yeah, it's hard to watch, but I was like, it's beautifully constructed.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting how they bring up like just like how strange race relations are in America, because like they had a store, and I think it's really important that Ryan shows this, is like they have a store in the Black area of town, and they also have a store in the white area of town, so they're able to like traverse those two different worlds with relatively no problem.
Know how to categorize them.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
It's literally a social construct.
Crazy.
We make all this shit up.
You know when we say that everything's about race? It's because everything is about race.
Yeah, God. No, I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
And I've said this in the beginning. What's better than one Michael B. Jordan? Two Michael B. Jordans. Ooh, that man.
I know.
He's so yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also thought he gave an exceptional performance as the twins.
Yeah.
I have a theory.
Okay.
That there will be another movie within this universe.
Okay.
Because I don't get why those Native American vampire hunters just came and went. I want more about them. I want to know what's going on with them, because all we have is Twilight right now, and we need a good Native American versus the Cold Ones movie, okay? That is respectful with proper casting.
You can't even say that
and
because...
no Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner is a white man. Crazy. First of all, that's the craziest shit. That's the craziest
genetics,
shit.
Crazy.
But also, I do love that they added the Native Americans in there, because it also was like, it's so fun because they were obviously chasing that little Irish man for a long time. Like, it was like the sun was still up and he was running, so he was scared of them. But I also love that they came to the door of the couple. He looks around, sees the KKK robes, and he's like, you know what? Have a good day. You welcomed him in? Not my problem. We're gonna go now.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave.
Best of luck to you. That's what I would do. I'm like, bye.
They said, not my problem. And I love that. Love it.
My God. I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see it again.
I know, me too.
I love a movie that makes me want to see it multiple times. I know.
And it's like, it is a theater movie. Like, you need to go see it in theaters.
If you can see it in IMAX or 70 millimeter, depending on if your indie theater is showing it, do it.
Yeah. Because I saw it at AMC, but it was a primarily Black audience. Something so cathartic and healing about it. So good.
I know. I saw Get Out when it originally came out in a primarily Black audience, and I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, man. But I loved Sinners. There's no right way to transition to the last topic we're talking about.
No, it's completely different. So let's just do a hard transition.
We're talking about Lorde. She's back, baby.
The Lorde is back.
The Lorde has risen. Wow. Actually, so much happening right now.
Okay.
With God.
Yeah.
New Pope.
We do have a new Pope. You know what's actually been stuck in my head? This is a huge just caveat real quick.
Let's go.
I saw this TikTok. It's like, who's the Pope? Popo Americana. Do. We can cut that, actually.
Okay.
We can cut the cameras. Sharing. You're welcome. I'm gonna find the TikTok. I'll link it in the show notes because it's a lot funnier, like, watching it.
Yeah, no, keep this
I've seen actually so many edits of the Pope.
Already?
Oh yeah, already.
I don't know why I'm saying that. People are fake. Good. I did see one thing, that if there ever is a American Pope, that means it's the end of the American Empire. And I saw that. Okay.
I said, all right, you're right. We've had our time.
Yeah, we're done.
Let's pass along the torch.
Yeah, I'm good.
Anyways, back to Lorde the singer.
Lorde. Okay. Lorde, born Ella Yilich O'Connor. I think I'm saying that correctly. I don't know. Her name's Ella. And as we know, she is a famous pop singer, debuts in like 2013 with Pure Heroine, follows it up with the amazing album Melodrama, which changed so many people's lives. In 2021, she gave us Solar Power, more subdued. Don't totally know what was happening there. I like some songs. But everyone was like, hey, we want bangers. And then she was like, I think I'm ready for that. And she recently debuted with her single called What Was That? Now, let me tell you the backdrop of this single, Brianna, because my friend's girlfriend lives in New York. And so I don't know why all the celebrities are doing this now, but they now have like texting like newsletters now instead of just email ones. So I signed up for her texting one, and she's been sending like voice memos of her being like, guys, I'm like so excited to share music with you, and it's going to be great. And that's how she talks. And so my friend's girlfriend texted our group chat. She was like, hey, did y'all get a text from Lorde to meet her in the park? And we were like, no. And she's like, oh my God, I think it's for New York people only. It was to meet at Washington Square Park like that day at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So droves of people came to Washington Square Park in New York City. Lorde then posted on her story, she's like, sorry guys, I'm so sorry. The police said we need a permit because there's too many people and it could be dangerous. And people were like, what? So then people were like, okay. So then they just kind of started this like Lorde dance party in Washington Square Park. And like some guy had a speaker. And then they were just like traipsing around New York, this like drove of Lorde fans, and even past Electric Lady Studios as well. So then my friend found out that like the guy with the boombox might have been Dev Hynes, who is Blood Orange, who is a famed producer.
Okay.
I don't know what other reference to give you.
That's fine.
But has produced for Solange, has produced for Sky Ferreira. He was a part of Harry Styles' Grammy performance for Watermelon Sugar when he was trying to be black.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that leather outfit with the open jacket. I said, excuse me. Excuse me, sir. What is it? Strawberries. What is it? Brown skin and lemon over rice?
Over rice.
So your girl got self-tanned? Anyways, I digress. Then at like 8 p.m., my friend goes home. Lorde goes to Washington Square Park.
Shut up.
Yes, and plays the single and is dressed up in these like grayish bootcut jeans, like a metallic belt and like a white button down. And she's Lorde dancing, as we all know her to dance. Comes out with a single, What Was That? It definitely is veering back into the style of melodrama. It's more boppy than Solar Power was. I will say it doesn't feel like anything new, but I like it. I do like it.
I feel the same way.
I would bump it at the club. It's fun. I like it. So then she's talking about how, you know, this is a return to my femininity. It's raw. It's me coming off birth control, yada, yada, going through a massive breakup.
Okay.
And she has been displaying more like, I say, like masculine looks, I guess, in the past couple days. My friend informs me that there's apparently some people are calling a, quote, transvestigation into Lorde coming out as trans. And I'm like, okay, first of all, when are we going to stop doing this to people?
Like, leave it alone.
Begging them to come out as something.
Yeah.
She has, I think her Met Gala look, which that was one I also did not love.
Yeah.
But she talked about how she felt masculine and feminine at the same time, and how it was an Easter egg. So maybe she's exploring this different side of her identity. Let her tell you that.
But like,
Stop
let her do that
assuming.
on her own. Don't investigate.
Yeah, also, like, her expressing herself that way does not have to connect to, like, a distinct gender identity. She can just express how she wants to express her gender, okay?
Yeah.
Calm down. But anyways, this is all leading to a new album that is coming out called Virgin. She has already announced a tour.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I do think that's just the new funding thing for artists now,
so
which sucks. Because I haven't heard this album.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Why am I buying tickets to a tour?
I was thinking about that too, because I did not like Solar Power. It's just not my cup of tea. And so I'm like, I would love to see her. I saw her for Melodrama. Such a fun concert. She's so good live. But I'm like, if I don't know what's gonna be on the album.
Yeah, and I did see her for Solar Power, and that show was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really good. Even, like, it made me like a lot of those songs on Solar Power more to see them live, but I was nervous going into it. So, yeah, I don't like it, because even, like, I was gonna go see Haim, but it's just, like, not in the budget right now. But the album hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what music I'm gonna be singing there.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, like, I think albums don't make... Because albums don't make the money anymore.
Yeah.
Touring is what that's why everybody's constantly on tour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have to find something else, because this is,
Another
they can't do this.
more
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Virgin is coming out June 27th. She is working with Dan Nigro, who she worked with on What Was That? Dan Nigro, as we know, has worked with Olivia Rodrigo, Chappell Roan most famously. He's worked with other people, but those two are the big ones right now. And Jimmy Stack, who I'm looking at, he's worked with Bon Iver, Empress of, Charlie XCX, Caroline Polachek. So a lot of people kind of in a similar space as Lorde. She will be working with Dev Hynes, Blood Orange, who I mentioned earlier. Again, I don't have a reference for you, but you'll understand.
Okay.
He's really good. I think you'd like his music.
Okay.
Actually, the only reference I have for you is his song Uncle Ace is featured in the thruple kiss scene in Challengers.
Okay.
That's all I have for you, girl.
I don't remember the exact song, but I can see the energy.
Yeah,
feel the
I love
energy.
Blood Orange. Blood Orange makes good summer music.
Okay.
It's for laying down in a park, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, but who's notably absent from this producer list is none other than Jack Antonoff.
Yes, I noticed that too, but I didn't look into anything.
Here's my thing. The history of Jack Antonoff with Lorde is fraught, all based on rumor.
Yep.
There was this PowerPoint that went around for the longest time of the fact that Melodrama was about Jack Antonoff and that Lorde and Jack Antonoff were having this huge affair while he was dating Lena Dunham. I don't know how much of that is true. It's all fun in theory, but then they're real people, so then we have to think about it. But I actually think that this album is about someone totally different. Because she does admit that she went through a massive breakup, and I'm going to tell you who she broke up with. So this was something that me and my friends were like, about, and I feel okay saying this even though they're real people, because one thing I don't like is an ill-timed age gap romance.
Yeah.
So, Lorde, 26, right before they broke up, was dating 42-year-old music executive Justin Warren. Lorde and Warren first met, and I'm quoting from an Elle article, Lorde and Warren first met when she was signed to Universal Music in 2009, when the artist was only 13 years old.
Yeah.
They allegedly started dating 6 years later, when she was 19. Although, he apparently denied rumors that they were together. But a rumor don't come from nowhere. Especially that kind of rumor.
That
Who would
kind of
know
rumor,
that?
it's, yeah.
And they were serious. It had sparked engagement rumors, but they called it quits, I think, in 2023. And let me say, this isn't even one of those visual age gap romances where it like kind of looks, no. Because there's a song on Solar Power where she says, when I found out you had the same music taste as my father, I knew I was like gone. And I was like,
I remember that. I think you had told me about that. And it's just
Yes.
like, hey, actually...
So here's my prediction for this album, because she describes it kind of distinctly as this return to self. Like, she's like, I came off birth control, like my skin is not as great as it was. And, you know, she's just really kind of connecting with herself as raw and feminine and masculine. And I really appreciate that. I love an album that's about a return to self. And I love seemingly post-divorce albums. Love them. Love them.
Yeah.
I do predict and wonder, I guess, if we will be getting something in the vein of Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo, Happier Than Ever, Billie Eilish, Would've, Could've, Should've, Taylor Swift. Like, if we're going to get that style of a song, or if it will be more about, like, this awakening she's had. Because the line... Since I was 17, I gave you everything. I wake from a dream. Baby, what was that? They have known each other since she was 13.
We need to start putting people in jail. Putting men in jail. Sorry, let me clarify. Let me clarify. Not just anybody. Men.
Yeah.
Prison.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I hope that she's doing great.
Yeah.
I don't care about him.
Yeah.
I don't care how mature you are. At that age, you really just should be exploring yourself and, like, among people your age.
Yeah.
Of just, like, being around peers and not being with someone who's, like, been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this as her fault at all. I'm saying this as he should have recognized that and not done anything. But it happened. We can't do anything about it except listen to the music that came from it.
Yeah. So I am excited.
So,
has the track list come out? Do you know?
No.
Okay. I have
Not
seen the
yet.
cover art and I do like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I love a little X-ray representation.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
very
why I feel
curious.
like it's going to be good.
I think so too. And it's like just
Yeah.
in time for summer.
Yeah.
When
well,
everyone's
girl,
like, we
everybody's
need to have a
out.
fun summer because everything else in our lives are miserable.
Yeah, girl, the girlies are outside. Haim new album. Lorde new album.
Yeah.
Marina new album. I'm pretty sure more Chapel music is on the way. Like, we're churning them out.
Yeah.
Where's Harry Styles?
Where is
Actually, I was
Harry?
asking you this the other day.
Yeah.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Where is he?
I think him and Taylor break up.
They did break up. He's got
So
material.
I
Let's
think
go.
he's
Come
I
out.
think he's marinating. I think he's probably
Okay.
recording as we speak. Because
Did he get hair transplant? Is that the rumor?
it is the rumor because he did shave his head suspiciously. And you know what? I would support him if he did.
Yeah, actually,
I love when
have
men get
nothing
hair
against that.
transplants. I
No,
love
because
it.
we have to do upkeep. You should do upkeep too.
Get upkeep. Yeah. No. So
Well, it also is like his biggest. That's his thing. Is the hair.
the hair has to be there.
Yeah. You know what I miss
So
though?
what?
Really quick, I miss long-haired Harry because he kind of scares me.
You know what? Actually, long-haired Harry is probably my least favorite.
Oh my god, no! There's something about him that's so like he would punch somebody.
Okay, are you thinking that organically, or are you thinking that about like the one shot in Imagines that you've read?
Hey, why are you saying this?
I'm just trying to get to the truth of it. Trying to get to the bottom of this.
This is supposed to be a safe space.
It is a safe space. Everyone listening
know, maybe,
has read
okay.
One Shot in Imagines, please.
Okay, maybe the cover of Dark was long-haired Harry. Oh my god. How dare you?
Listen, we gotta speak God's truth on this podcast.
I literally felt like I got caught.
Girl, we all did it.
I know, and I wish I could do it again. Actually,
I wish I
can't.
could. I know. I could get on
Actually,
Tumblr right now.
My friend keeps saying, like, recommending me all these, like, intense fan fictions on AO3, and I have not ventured into AO3 that much.
I haven't
Maybe
either
I should.
because I'm afraid I'll get sucked in. Because these ones are like chapters long. Like
They're like
chapters.
thousands of pages.
Yeah. And I'm kind of too afraid.
Yeah, because
do
I've been
that again.
recommended a couple Dramini ones, and I'm like, I already know I would eat this up.
I know.
I cannot do it.
Yeah, I'm too afraid.
But I do like it as a form of resistance against, like, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Because, like, gross.
Yeah.
Don't like her. Love the dolls, not J.K. Anyways, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think I was going to talk about Harry again. Just going back to Harry. I want another album that sounds like either the first or the second one. I like the third album, Harry's House. It's not my favorite. It's a little bit too poppy, but
I
like
love Fine
I was
Line.
re-listening to the first album a few days ago, and it's just so good. I love Harry and his like rock element. So nice. So nice.
I do like rock. I think what I saw in Harry... Is it Harry's House or Harry's Home?
Harry's House.
Harry's House? What I liked about Harry's House is that it does show that he has a certain proclivity towards groove.
Yeah.
And, like, rhythm, which is nice. And as we saw, the little move that he did with the watermelon sugar performance at the Grammys, like, he wasn't doing anything, but he was giving it everything he had.
Yeah.
I
Because he's
could
such a
see
good
him
performer.
making-
My God.
Yeah, like, if he went more in, like, the mixture of, like, an like R&B in the style of, like, Woman, or there's one on the first album and one on the second album. I think it's Woman is on the first album. Like, let's search for romantic comedies. And on this Fine Line, there's one that's like a groovy one. She. Yeah. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very
I
good.
could see him doing that. I couldn't handle a whole album of it. Because my favorite song of his is still Sunflower Volume 6.
It's so good. It's such a good
so
song.
fun.
Dang it, I'm about to go into a Harry phase.
I think I'm about to regress.
And I'm so excited about it, actually.
Me too.
I'm so excited.
We should do a deep dive on One Direction. I feel like we are the perfect people
We
to do
need
it.
to. I was actually thinking, we're kind of pivoting again. I was thinking about fandom because the reason I was thinking about it, it does stem from Lorde. So this actually kind of goes into, but it was right after, I think it was just yesterday that the tour announced. And you know how fandoms get like super freaking crazy now? And they're like, if you didn't like Solar Power, don't buy tickets. I'm like, hey, let's stop this shit. And I've seen it come so
There's
often.
also nothing stopping anyone from going to a concert.
I know. It's just like really...
You just have to have money.
It's a really weird like fandom thing. Even I noticed this with Ethel Cain. Because I love Ethel Cain. She did put out an album a few months ago.
Yes.
It's just like very like vibey. And Not even.
It has a niche appeal.
Yeah, I did listen to it once through. I will never revisit it again. I still love Ethel, but it was like really weird, and her fans were getting very hostile when her tour went out, because it was like selling pretty quickly because she's doing pretty small venues. But it was like, if you didn't like that, you shouldn't even be going because you're not a real fan of Ethel Kane. I'm like, hey, actually, let's stop this. But then I was also thinking about how I acted with One Direction at times.
Yeah, we were crazy.
It was a little crazy. It was a little crazy. Sometimes it was warranted, sometimes not. And I was like, maybe this just keeps going around, and maybe
I think it's cyclical, because it is like an irritation. Like, oh, you don't even know their music, and you get to go to this experience, and I don't. And it's FOMO, it's jealousy, and that's understandable, especially in times like these when we're clinging to anything.
One time when I was in high school, someone that I knew won tickets to meet One Direction, and they met them, and when they posted the picture, they called Niall Neil, and that was the worst day of my life. I can't tell you how upset I was.
No, girl,
you got to meet them.
It.
And you spell it.
You're turning red. I feel you.
I'm just thinking back on how devastated and angry I was. Because what do you mean you get to meet them and you spell his name wrong? Oh my god.
Oh.
Ooh, tears are in my eyes. It's been over 10 years.
No, I will never experience anything as beautiful as being a fan of One Direction in my life.
God,
I don't think I will.
No.
It was the worst time, but it was the best time. I was blissfully ignorant, thinking I could bag every single one of those men.
Me too. Like, I was like, they're gonna see me in the crowd.
And young people don't have that.
They don't have
it. I mourn that for them.
I know.
I mourn.
It gives you such character.
Oh,
you learn to defend yourself. You learn to want.
You learn to yearn.
Yeah.
You learn to be patient.
Yeah.
Oof. And you learn to be disappointed many times over.
Oh my god, you're gonna be.
Wow. Oh, I miss it. But yeah, that's what's happening in culture.
God, that's what's happening.
Man.
I'm really excited. I think we're on a kind of like a little upswing of like pop culture.
Yeah, I think pop culture,
nice.
not in the world.
No, just pop culture, just entertainment.
Yeah, but we need an escape right now, I think.
Yeah, we do need an escape. So
it'll be good.
We'll be here to talk about it for the weeks to come.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.